Again, I'm just laying down 2-inch tape with a fine overlap. I could use application tape here. Application tape's good for designs like this in big areas, but it's quite porous. It's not that tacky and it's quite porous. And after 3 or 4 hours, you get a lot of air bubbles and stuff starting to creep into it. So I'm just going to use 2-inch masking. Keep your overlaps down to a minimum. And now I'm just drawing the design on. In this case it's a skull. Obviously if I need to make any corrections at this stage I can just use a rubber. And when I'm happy with the overall design, I just cut out with my 10A. And just weed out the eyes and the nostrils. Make sure I've got a good clean edge and everything's pressed down, and we're ready now to airbrush. The airbrushes I'm using are Iwata, specifically the HP BCS Eclipse with a standard 0.5 needle, and I'm using my Createx AutoWear Fast Blast bottles for speed. And the first colour I'm using is Transparent Root Beer. I'm keeping the airbrush well back, working quite fast and just getting a nice overall dusted look. This is another one of the reasons why I use the Fast Blast bottles. If you imagine using a chrome side cup or a top feed airbrush, when you're using the airbrush at this angle you get a lot of paint spillage everywhere. I just find the Fast Blast bottles are a lot quicker for me, and I don't have to worry about any paint spillage. Not being too fussy at this stage, just trying to get the paint in as quickly as possible. You can just see how transparent this root beer actually is. I'm using it completely unreduced, just straight out of the bottle. And I'll be using transparents for the entire mural. Now I've laced my root beer with about 20% transparent black. This is just to establish a darker area around the cuts. And I want to work pretty light here, I don't want to overkill it. You can just see the darker areas now starting to form up. And I'm just weeding out my second series of cuts. I actually made these cuts right at the start. The reason why I cut them at the start is with all the overspray, sometimes it can be a bit hard to see them. They're a bit diffused. So I made these cuts right at the start and I'm just weeding them out now. And I'm just switching now back to my original root beer mix. Another great advantage of water-based over the solvent-based is the mill thickness of the paint. Whenever I remove this masking, I'll be left with hardly any edge whatsoever. You'll barely be able to feel it, even though I'm putting quite a bit of paint in here. With the old solvents and stuff, it just seems to give you a bit more of a big build-up. It's not the end of the world, but it just takes a bit more clear to cover them. And I'm just progressing now with the neat root beer. I've removed all the masking now and I'm just starting to freehand some scallops and shapes in. Again, I'm still with the root beer. I'm spraying about 40 psi here with the 0.5. The reason why I like to paint this way is I put the iridescent colour down first, and these paints are very, very transparent. So as the light passes through the root beer and the orange or whatever, it interacts with the iridescent underneath, so the whole mural shimmers. Gives you a very, very deep... The colours look really saturated and very, very bright in the sunlight. You see how easy it is to blend with the transparents? Progressing a bit further now, and amazingly at this stage I've used about 1.5 or 2 ounces of paint for the whole mural.